How to source and sell your first property deal in 5 simple steps. No messing about, let's get straight into it. Step 1, company setup and compliance. So to set up your company, you've got 3 options. You can either go to the Gov website, just like this, register your company, scroll down, click register now, go through the application. Other option that you've got is you can use a third-party company like Companies Made Simple. We've used these a lot of times in the past when setting up companies. All you do is go on their website, type in your company name. Let's see if Fontaine Examples available, probably will be available. Hit search. Yeah, it's available. Choose the package that you want and then go with them. Now, the good thing about Companies Made Simple is you can actually use their business address as your registered address on Company's House. So if you don't want anyone finding out where you live or your personal address, then obviously you don't want to have that on Company's House and it will stay there forever. So if you use a third-party company like Companies Made Simple, you can actually use their business address so you don't have that problem. Third option is getting your accountant to set it up. Obviously this one's a little bit more expensive, but at least you've got the peace of mind that it's set up properly. Once you've got your company set up, you want to get a business bank. Doesn't matter which bank you choose, loads of banks, choose one. Next, you want to buy a domain name. So this is so you can have professional emails for your business, and then you might choose to make a website. It's completely up to you. And then you want to get a logo made. Don't spend too much time on a logo. A logo is not going to make you any money. No one cares about your logo more than you do. Literally, it's not going to make you any money, so don't spend time on it. Get one made quick on Canva or pay someone on Fiverr to do it. Once you've got all that done, you want to get your company compliant. Now, there's 4 main things that you need for compliance. You need the right insurances, so public liability insurance and professional indemnity insurance. You need to be registered with the ICO. You need to be registered with one of the property redress schemes, either the TPO or the PRS. And then finally, you need to register with HMRC for anti-money laundering. You need to be compliant if you want to sell property deals. If you're not, then you're just going to get slapped with heavy fines and you might as well just be doing community service. It's literally pointless. You need to be compliant if you want to sell property deals. There's no 2 ways about it. Even if you're co-sourcing with someone else, both parties need to be compliant. If one party isn't, then both parties could potentially get fines. Step 2, area and strategy. Depending on what area you're targeting will dictate what strategy you're going to do going forward. For example, BRRs might work really well in a small town in South Wales, but service accommodation might not work in that town. So again, your area is going to dictate what strategy you should do. When choosing an area, it is recommended to stay local because you've grown up in that area. You know all the good spots, you know all the bad spots, you know the places to avoid, you know the affluent areas. That local knowledge really matters, and an investor is going to expect you to understand the area like the back of your hand. So if you're targeting an area that you've grew up in and you've known most of your life, then you're going to know a lot about that area. Now, don't get me wrong, this can be done remotely. We do have a bunch of people on a course that source property deals remotely, not where they live, but you really need to know the area. So that's why it's recommended to stay local because, like I said, you've grown up there all your life. You're going to know all the good spots, the bad spots. You're going to know everything about that area. When choosing the area as well, you want to avoid trouble spots. So if you're walking down the street and you see trash everywhere, rubbish everywhere, tramps all over the floor, fucking needles, crackheads, smackheads, boarded up windows, all stuff like that, that's a good indicator that you are in the wrong area. And that being said as well, if you're walking down the road and you see massive mansions, the shittest car that drives past is a Porsche at the minimum, like you're in an area that's too affluent. Those properties might look really good, but on paper, they're shit deals. They're not investment properties. They might be properties for the stupid rich to live in, maybe football players or whoever it is. You might want to walk down the road and get inspired by looking at these houses, but they're not good investment properties. So you don't want to be in the shitholes and you don't want to be in the really affluent areas. You want to be not bang in the middle, but a little bit closer to the shithole when you're looking at properties. That is normally where you'll find the best deals. But again, it depends on what strategy you're doing. So for example, if you're doing service accommodation, you might want to look at a little bit closer towards the affluent areas. So it all depends on your area and the strategy that you're choosing. Tailor your strategy to your area's characteristics. For example, a small town in the northeast might work really well for BRR, but it might not necessarily work for HMOs. Guys, there's literally deals everywhere. Like, put it this way, if you can see chimney pots, there are deals that can be done. So let me give you a few little tips on area and strategy. Number 1, don't try and do everything. Don't be the person that is sourcing HMO property deals in Southampton, and then the next day you're sourcing BRR deals in South Wales. The next day you've got some service accommodation units in Birmingham city centre. You want to be known as John, who sources HMO conversions in Southampton, or Leah, who sources BRR property deals in South Wales. Be that go-to person for that strategy in that area. Don't become a jack of all trades and a master at none. Pick a strategy, pick an area, go. Step 3, find and analyse the deal. Being a deal sourcer is all about bringing value, and there's 3 main ways where you can bring value. That's either with cash flow, uplift, or discount. You can literally source any property deal as long as it meets the investor's requirements. You can source buy, refurbish, finance property deals, BRR, rent to rent, rent to HMO, rent to service accommodation, buy to lets, land opportunities, purchase lease options. There's so many different strategies out there, but do me a favor, stick to one and be that go-to person for that one strategy. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to stick to buy, refurbish, refinance, BRR. BRR in a nutshell is where you find a discounted property, you buy it cash, you do a refurb on it, uplift the value of the property, and then you refinance at a new value, pulling out most of your money so that you can rinse and repeat and keep building your portfolio. First thing you want to do is type in property log. It's going to take you to this website here, and then you can add that to your Google Chrome extension. And this tool is really useful when looking on Rightmove. So once you've got that, you want to head over to Rightmove. Now let's say, for example, I'm looking in South Wales, then I'm going to hit for sale. Rightmove's going to give you all of these filters, so I can choose this area only. I can choose a price range. Let's say my maximum is £100,000. You can choose how many bedrooms, you can choose the property type. Let's say, for example, you're looking at houses. Obviously don't click flats because it's not going to show you houses. You can also choose when it was added. I'm just going to click any time for now, and then I'm going to hit find properties. Now, with property log, you're going to get the price change history like you can see on this one here. So we can see that the initial asking price for this property was £140,000 and now it's £100,000. So that's what property log is going to do. And if someone keeps reducing the price, especially in a short space of time, that's going to tell you it's likely going to be more of a motivated seller than someone who isn't reducing the price constantly. So if you see that, you know that you've got more of a chance of negotiating a better deal. Also on Rightmove as well, something that's probably going to give you a good indicator that someone's motivated is you can change where it says here highest priced and do oldest listed. Obviously, if a property's been sat there and not sold for a while, the likelihood is that person is going to be a little bit more motivated to sell their property than someone who's literally just listed it that day. So let's look at this property, for example. Now, this property was actually brought to us by Dave and Nicola, who were on a course, and we sold this to one of our investors. Now, yeah, let's go through it. So flicking through the photos, you can see it's definitely in need of some work. It's a fixer-up style property. Now, this one is actually a 2-bedroom semi-detached property, and it's to be converted into a 3-bedroom semi-detached property. As you can see, it needs a bit of work, but is it worth doing the work? How do we find that out? So we find out what it's going to be worth after doing a refurb, and we do that by finding comparables, at least 3 solid comparables. What is a comparable? A comparable is a property that is recently sold in the area, done up to a nice standard, similar style and similar size property to the one that you're looking at. And the way we find a comparable is very easy. So what you do is you scroll down Rightmove, and then you click on this bit here which says recently sold and under offer. So when I click on that, it's going to take me to this page. You can also click on here where it says view all recently sold. And also when you go on this, you can choose this area only. You can choose when they last sold, so if it's in the last year. You can choose what property type. Again, if you're sourcing a 2-bedroom semi-detached property, you're not going to compare it with a flat. And then you can also choose here if it's freehold or leasehold. So here's one of the comparables that we found. This one is a 3-bedroom semi-detached property in the same area. If you scroll through the photos as well, you can see it's done up to a much better standard than the one that we was looking to source. This property sold for £146,000, so that's one decent comparable. Now we're going to look for another one. This one here, for example, as you can see, this one sold in April 2023. Same area, sold for £162,000, semi-detached 3-bedroom property. Pretty strong comparable. And as you can see, it's done up to a decent standard. And then we're also going to look at this one here as well. Again, 3-bedroom semi-detached property sold at the beginning of 2023 for £142,000. Now, ideally, you want your comparables to be within the last 6 months. If you can't find many comparables within the last 6 months, you can go to the last 12 months. And if you can't find any there, then your best bet is contact at least 3 different estate agents and see what they think the property will be worth once it's done up. We actually sold this deal a little while ago, so at the time, it was within that 6 months period. But yeah, we're using this for example. So as you can see, this one's also done up to a nice standard, better than the one that was looking to source. And that one sold for, yeah, £142,000. Now, the other important thing as well is you want to check square footage. Now, the way that you check the square footage is by looking at the EPC register. You need to find the first line of address, Type that into the EPC register, and that's going to give you the square footage. For example, if one comparable is 200 square foot and the property that you're looking to source is 100 square foot, then it's not a good comparable. So we scroll down on here, we're going to click Start Now, click Domestic Property, Continue. We're going to put the postcode in, click Find the first line of address, click on it, scroll down, and that's going to tell you the square footage right there. So that's the property that we were sourcing. You want to do the same with the comparables and make sure that they are similar or pretty much thereabouts with yours. For example, as you can see, this one here is 85 square meters. If one of my comparables was 160 square meters, it's not a good comparable. Ideally, you want to get at least 3 strong comparables so that you've got a realistic estimation of what the end value could be. Once you've done that, you want to do exactly the same for rent. So you're going to go onto Rightmove, you're going to look at properties in the area that are up for rent at a similar standard to what your property is going to look like once it's done up. And then you're going to find 3 solid comparables for rent. I'm not going to show you how to do that. Same, do it for rent. So we found a deal. We've worked out what the end value is going to be by looking at comparables. We found at least 3 strong comparables for the end value. We found some comparables for rent, so now we know what the property is going to rent for once it's done up. Now we need to work out if it's a good deal, and the way we do that is we work out how much it's going to cost to do the refurb. So you're going to want to view the property and you want to get a builder around there so that they can price up the refurb and give you a build quote. Now, depending on how good of a relationship you've built with that builder, you might not even need to go view it yourself. You might just be able to get your builder around there, he does the viewing, prices up the refurb and draws up the quote and sends it to you, and then you can sit there on the deal analyzer and work out if it's going to be a good deal, and then you can put your offer in. There's so many deal sources out there that sell property deals without a build quote. If I'm going to be buying a deal with someone, I want to know exactly how much the refurb's going to be, and I want to know who's going to be carrying out the works and how they got to that figure. So if you haven't got a build quote, like, it's just going to be the first thing that the investor asks for. So get a builder around there, get them to price it up and give you the build quote. Like, you don't need to know the ins and outs of refurbs, and like, you can do, it might help, but you don't necessarily need to as a deal sourcer. Your role is to source the property deals. The builder has spent their life learning their craft, so why would you do it? Why don't you just leverage the builder's knowledge to price up the refurb and give you a build quote? We're the orchestrators in this business, and so are you if you're going to get into deal sourcing. You don't need to know everything that the builder knows. You don't need to know everything that solicitors know. You don't need to know everything that an accountant knows. You don't need to know everything that a surveyor knows. Like, they've spent all these years perfecting their craft. Your craft is the orchestrator and bring all the people together. So we've worked out what the end value is going to be by finding 3 strong comparables. We've worked out what the property will potentially rent for when it's done up by, again, finding at least 3 strong comparables. We've then worked out what the refurb is going to be by getting a builder around to draw up a quote. Now we're going to put all the figures in our analyzer and work out if it's a good deal or not. So this is the deal analyzer that we use for buy, refurbish, refinance deals. It's a really good analyzer. It's really in-depth. If you want a copy of this, check out the link in the description. We had this analyzer made for us and it's so in-depth, it's honestly the best that I've seen out there. So for example, you could put in your criteria and it's going to tell you what your offer needs to be. You can work out what the figure's going to be if you buy a mortgage, cash, bridging. Tells you all the requirements there. As you can see, we've got here the purchase price for this one is £70,000. That's what it was listed for. We actually got it secured for £60,000. The refurb is £35,000 and we've got a bill quote showing that. It's got all the fees in here as well. The stamp duty or the land tax, here we've got it down as well. So here you can see property location. Stamp duty is slightly different in Wales, they're different percentages. So change the area there and it's going to work it out for you. And we've also got our sourcing fee. So we can see that the total purchasing cost or the total money that the investor is going to have to put in for this deal is £104,600. We've got the rent here as well, £850 per calendar month. Also works out what it's going to be annually. Down here, it's going to tell us that it's a good deal. So we can see it's 17% yield, secured for around 44% below market value. And as you can see, the ROI and also the return on capital employed is infinite. And that is because the end value worked out as being £142,000, which means if the investor was to then refinance at the new value, they will pull out £106,500. Remember, they've put in £104,600, they're pulling out £106,500, which means it's an all money out property deal plus £1,900 on top. And then once it's rented out, the net monthly cash flow is £185.50 per calendar month. As you can see, it's a pretty good fucking deal. So again, if you want deals like this, we'll put a link to join our mailing list, our WhatsApp community. We post deals out there every day. If you want deals that are as good as this, join a WhatsApp group, get deals sent daily to your WhatsApp. Step 4, secure the deal and the investor. So we've worked out the end value. We've worked out what the rent's gonna be. We've worked out the refurb's gonna be. We've put it in our analyzer and we've worked out it's a good deal. Now you need to make your offer. The very best way to offer would be to offer without offering. The reason that you want to do that is you don't want to be pissing off agents or pissing off vendors when you're speaking to them by giving them a lowball offer. So the way you do that is you offer without offering. Grab yourself a pen and paper, write this down. This is exactly what you want to say. Let's say, for example, the property that you found is up for £70,000, but to make the deal work for you, you need to secure it at £60,000. Rather than saying, I want to offer you £60,000, that is my offer, that might piss someone off. So the way you can word it is, if I was to offer, say, late 50s or early 60s, would I be in the ballpark or would I be a million miles off?
We really do like the look of it. If I was to sort of offer sort of 53, 54, maybe mid 50s, do you reckon I'm in the ballpark or?
Well then, if that's something you would like me to put forward, I could always put it forward and see what the vendor's thoughts were on that one.
Just from those simple word changes of, instead of saying I want to offer this, saying if I was to offer around this, you can see that it won't piss anyone off. You're asking if you're going to be in the ballpark or if you're going to be a million miles off. You're offering to gauge whether or not they'll accept it, but you're not actually offering. If the agent says no, you're a million miles off, then look, you haven't pissed anyone off, you haven't wasted anyone's time, you haven't put in a lowball offer, everyone's happy still. Now, if that offer without offering does not get accepted, don't worry about it, just move on to the next deal. You're gonna have to put in a lot of offers before you get one accepted, but the money is in the follow-up. Motivation shifts over time. Let's say, for example, you put in that offer, it doesn't get accepted, and then they found another buyer for the property. 6 weeks down the line, that buyer could pull out. Now, all of a sudden, that vendor might be a little bit more motivated and your offer originally might be a little bit more appealing to them. So the money's in the follow-up. Don't worry if you don't get the first offer accepted, move on to the next, but keep following up with that agent because that property might become available again. If your offer does get accepted, great news, the deal's secured. Now you need to market it to your investors. So how do you get investors? The best way for us is by using social media. Social media is literally free advertisement. If people don't know you, don't know what you're doing, how are they gonna do business with you? We use social media massively. It's how you're watching us on social media. People know what we do. There's two ways of sourcing to investors. You can either source to order or do bespoke sourcing, where an investor tells you what they want, you go and find it, and then you sell it to them. Or you build a list of investors, you post out the deals on there, and then you have investors inquiring about the deal, and then you sell it to one of them. Now you need to make sure that you can get a buyer for it, because if you're getting offers accepted with an agent and you can't sell any of the property deals, you know, that agent's probably not gonna give you the time of day anymore. So it is important, if you want to keep a good working relationship with the agents and the people that you're working with, is that you actually sell the deals. We've grown a massive investor list in quite a short space of time, and that's literally from posting on social media and getting investors to join our list and join our WhatsApp community. Originally, we were sending out the deals on our email. Now we found we've massively improved conversion by posting it out on a WhatsApp community. People don't often check their emails. They might not even see that you sent out a deal. And even if they have seen it and then they email you about it, they might take ages to respond to your email. If you send it out on WhatsApp, you know, people can just give you a call and talk about the deal, or you can send voice notes back and forth. Like, people are much more active on WhatsApp than they are on email. So with the deal that we found, we make a teaser that we send out on WhatsApp and on email, and then we have investors contacting us, and then we handle those inquiries. When starting out in deal sourcing, you see a lot of people online saying that if you find a good property deal, the investor will come. But no investor is just gonna randomly know that you found a property deal, come knocking on your door and say, "You're right, I heard you found a nice property deal. Don't know where I heard it from, don't even know who you are, but I just thought, you know, I just had the inkling that you got a nice property deal. Like, that literally doesn't happen. The easy part of deal sourcing is finding a property deal. The hardest part is selling that deal to an investor when you've got no social proof and no experience. So we've created a deal sourcing course where we allow you to partner with us, leverage our list of investors. You find the deals, we'll get it sold to our investors, and then we split the fee 50-50 with you. With that deal sold, you can then use that as your own social proof and then go off and start selling deals to your own investors. And on top of that, once you sell your first deal through us, we'll actually refund you the money you paid for the course. We're not here to make money out of selling courses, we're here to make money with you. So that's why partner with us, sell your deals to our investors, and we'll split the fee 50-50. On top of that, we do weekly mentoring. We've got a WhatsApp community with all the other members that are in there, constantly helping each other out, pushing for the same goals. We do weekly deal clinics, we do mastermind sessions, we bring in guest speakers, a whole bunch of benefits. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, we'll put a link in the description so you can check out the website and learn more, and then partner with us so we can make some fucking money together. I'll see you there. I'll see you there. Once you've found an investor that's interested in buying that deal off you, you need to be quick, responsive, have all the answers, just guide them through the process. So the first thing you want to do is you want to send out a reservation form. Now, we take 50% of the sourcing fee up front, and then we take the remaining 50% of the sourcing fee at the point of exchange. Now, when we're sourcing a rent-to-rent deal, we take the full sourcing fee up front. But yeah, with BRR property deals, we take 50% up front. That sits in a separate bank account to our current account, and it stays in there until the point of exchange, where the investor will send us the remaining 50% of the sourcing fee. Once we've got the full sourcing fee, we can move that to our business current account. So let's go back a bit. We sent out the reservation form, they've signed it, they've sent us the reservation fee, which is 50% of the sourcing fee. We'll then need to satisfy the anti-money laundering checks, and then we'll store this information compliantly. So the information I'm talking about here is the proof of funds, the ID, the proof of address, things like that. Once we've done that, we then tip the sale into conveyancing. And what happens at this stage will depend if you've gone direct to vendor or if you sourced it through an agent. If you've sourced it through an agent, the good news is you're pretty much done at this point. You'll send out an activation email to the estate agent, and they will move the sale through legals themselves. For the deals that you've sourced direct to vendor, it's going to be a little bit more input from you. You'll need to include a memorandum of sale, and you'll need to oversee the whole process through to completion. The activation email must come from yourself, and it needs to be sent to the investor, their broker, and their solicitor. And it also needs to be sent to the vendor and their solicitor. So you can use this email if you've sourced it on market or through an agent, and you can use this email if you sourced it off market or gone direct to vendor. The key thing here is to connect the two solicitors and get them talking. Once you've done that, congratulations, your deal is now in legals. Finally, step 5, the sale process, or in other words, conveyancing. The speed of which you can move your deal through conveyancing will depend on how fast the solicitor is, and to be fair, they're always slow. If they're a shit solicitor, then that's the reason why they're slow, because they're shit. And if they're a really good solicitor, they're in high demand, they've got a big workload, so that's the reason why they're slow. So yeah, they're always slow. The conveyancing process can take up to 6 months, can even take longer in some cases, even when buying with cash. The whole time that that deal is going through legals, you want to keep that 50% of the sourcing fee or the reservation fee that you charge the investor in a separate account to your business, like I mentioned in the last step. Make sure you check in regularly with the solicitors to see if you can offer any support, if you can do anything to help speed up the process. You want to kind of pester them, but you don't want to be pissing them off. During this time, you want to get the letting agency ready, connect them with the investor so that it's a smooth process once the deal is complete. And towards the end of the conveyancing process, the solicitors will select a date to exchange. So this means it's getting close to payday. Ka-ching. The point of exchange is where the buyer and the seller swap and sign contracts, and the investor becomes legally committed to buying that property. At this stage, we can do our favorite part, which is invoice the investor for the remaining 50% of the sourcing fee. Once we've received that, we can move that sourcing fee into our business current account. That money is now ours. Or yours if you've sourced it, congratulations. So completion, this is the day where the sale is officially done. The investor's solicitor will transfer the money to the vendor's solicitor and the sale is complete. The investor will likely meet the agent at the property where they give them the keys, or they'll go to the agency and they'll give them the keys, and then they can go off and be on their merry way. So that is how you source and sell your first property deal to an investor. Now don't get me wrong, deal sourcing can be a very hard business, but trust me, it's 1000% worth it. We're averaging around £100,000 per month in sourcing fees. We're able to give 50% to the people in our course that have brought us the deals. Life-changing money, that's around £50,000 per month on average that we're paying out to our members, and we're growing and growing every month. So yeah, deal sourcing can be a very hard business, but trust me, it is well worth doing. Every strategy starts with deal sourcing. So if you're in property or you're interested in property, why are you not deal sourcing?